Hello, my name is Cynthia. Welcome to my FLOSSTUBE channel. If you love beautiful needlework, you like to talk about it, see examples of it, and most importantly, be inspired to create your own beautiful projects, you're in the right place. Today is Thursday, June the 4th, 2020. It's my eldest daughter's birthday, so it's a special day for our family. 19 years ago, we became parents, so an important event for us and a reason to celebrate for sure. We have a lot going on today, so I'm going to try to be brief, but I also have a lot to show you, so we'll just see how it goes. I have had, as all of you have had a lot of stress and anxiety over the last couple weeks, and as the title of this video hints, I have a few thoughts at the end that I'd like to share. If you're not interested, I'll give you a time to break away, but I did have an exciting finish that I wanted to share. I had posted my summer ABC photo on Instagram and also on the Housewives Facebook group, and it had like over 400 likes. I think that's the most likes I've ever had on a Facebook post. So I really think this turned out better than even I expected. This was my conversion of the summer ABCs from the pattern, which has a lot of more pastel colors, really pretty. I liked it like this. Kind of corally peaches and lots of bees and pretty elements for sure. But I just wanted it to reflect more of what I think of summer and the way I decorate for summer since I've started cross stitching, which is more primitive and patriotic. This piece of fabric I dyed myself. It's a 16 count AIDA. It has a few little oopses on it. You can see a few little flecks of dye, but you cannot see it from a distance. So I went ahead and used this piece that I was literally going to throw away. I did not think it would work, but with COVID not being able to have access to fabric, I gave it another shot, and I'm so glad I did. I almost think it resembles a murky. It doesn't quite even pick up on fabric as much as it does in person how grungy it is. It's got a lot of the blues, but also brown splotches in it. And I think charcoal was my final dip. It had several kind of incantations. But this was a good choice, I think, for the whites to pop and for the bunting at the top. I shared last time, but I got this idea from Carol Fun on Instagram, and I'll link her again. She always has fun conversions with bright colors, and I literally just copied that bunting stitch by stitch. I used my own colors for it, which I had shared as I talk about my Patriotic capsule, and I'll share a little bit more what's left in that. In the next 2 weeks I'll be working on it. This is my rat's nest of floss that's left. My red was Country Redwood, which is sort of an interesting choice because it's really kind of a variegated burgundy-ish red. There you can see, but I really like the different tones of it, especially like you can see in that lettering. I don't know if you can tell, it really had some cool variegation as you work the letters, and I've used it for my Stars and Stripes, the same palette that I'll show you as a whip, and also I'm going to be using it for my Brenda Gervais Patriotic Poppies. So all of these colors just kind of coordinate together really well, I feel like, and I was happy with that. If you want a list of any of these threads, I will attempt to make a note for you. I had a lot of interest, and thank you by the way for this, on my, not the last floss tube, but the floss tube before that. I believe it was number 17. I think it took a while for that video to get around, so even since my last number 18 floss tube, I've had lots of questions and comments about my Stacy Nash Miss Baxter's house, and I actually made an entire sheet that a lovely subscriber and viewer asked for to email to her. So if you would like that, let me know in the comment box below with your email, and I can forward that Miss Baxter's conversion to you. It was hard because, kind of like Priscilla does, it's not a symbol for symbol conversion. For instance, this lettering was supposed to be brown and I made it blue, but then I did use the brown on spots that were called for brown. So as you can see, it just takes a little time, but I will try to list some of the threads below. One that was a surprise to me is DMC 356. This was kind of the key for me to be happy with my conversion. The first attempt, the peaches were too bright and they just didn't go together. But as you can see in that basket, the country redwood and the 356 are a really cool combination. I stole this from my Prairie schooler ornaments. This was Santa's cheeks, and along with his skin tone here. And it just made such a cool primitive pink, because pink is tricky. I don't usually care for it, and I didn't want the pinks to be clashing with my reds. So that was the solution. That 356 DMC really was the missing color on this conversion that I did. And you can see in the watermelon, that's the bottom row of that red, and it really blends nicely. It doesn't clash out. You can't tell that there's a whole row of it necessarily, but it just ombre'd or faded out really perfectly with that country redwood. So really happy with this. As I said, the bow, I found some darker red, which is a little tricky. I don't like a cherry red. I like a kind of cranberry-ish red, and so or burgundy red, and so I found that at Joann's. This wool, I don't have a piece of it over here. I might show you in a little bit. I had from Hobby Lobby. It was real thick and hard to work with for what I was trying to use it as. When I tried to make strawberry leaves out of it, for instance, it was a little bit chunky, but it stands up really nicely. If you use like a piece of felt from like the craft store that's like super thin, I think it would be too floppy. But this, I just free cut with some sharp scissors. I drew like you do in kindergarten, you know, like your X with the, or your star with the 5 points. I drew that on the back and then I cut it out. And it's not a perfect star, but that worked out. And then that patriotic ribbon, I either got at Joann's or Hobby Lobby. And the berries were from Walmart. So I actually made this bow a little smaller, believe it or not, than my last ones. And I'll insert a picture, or you may have already seen the other 3 seasons. I have one more season to go. It's about 2/3 done. I just ran out of steam at Christmas time. I was too busy, so it didn't get finished. But this is my 3rd finish of these, so I will show you what they all look like, either at the beginning or end. And I'm just really happy. This stand was red. I've had a lot of questions about it, especially on Facebook. It was a welcome sign. I don't know if you can see that from the back, that Hobby Lobby put out, and it was clearanced. My mom and I both bought it in separate states. Didn't know it, but $7 I think is what I paid. So hopefully they'll bring it back this year. I would say it's worth the full price. I don't know if it was like 15 or so, but it's really pretty. And it's 16 count. So if you do 28, it might be a little too big, but it might not. You would just have to see. And I don't know if they'll have another version that just kind of mimics this, but I'm glad that I made it white so that it goes with winter or with the fall, especially the fall. I don't think red would have gone with my fall colors because I had a lot of like burnt colors, but very happy with that. And I also had a finish of my Prairie schooler ornaments, and I'm kind of in a rush this morning, so I couldn't put my hands on those, but I'll insert a picture here of the 4 that I've completed. And I have plans to take a little bit of a break because, to be honest, I'm getting a little tired of them, but I'm very happy that I have 4. That actually is a great goal, so I'll insert a picture of those here. The other projects I worked on, I had intended in May to make really good progress on my All Creatures Great and Small by Barbara Anna, and I feel like I did. This is actually kind of the chart, so I'll keep it far back. You can't make anything out on it, but this is, my goal was to do this side here. And I made a start on the church, and I got all the lettering done, so I was happy with that, even though I had to do it several times. I think I said that last time. I had to rip it out. The tree was placed incorrectly because I had a counting error at the page break. I ended up taping it together. I don't know if you can, maybe I can show you from the back. I've taped this together in one big map because I just don't do well with the page breaks. It's hard for me to see that shaded. Even if it's shaded, it's hard for me to see it, and I goofed. So I believe this was supposed to be a Roadrunner, is now a woodpecker. And that makes me laugh because I mean, a woodpecker is not peach anyway, or pink. Might as well make it into a woodpecker. And then I'm gonna add an acorn here. It was supposed to have another tree and a big acorn and another squirrel. And I'm either gonna put the squirrel or the acorn there. And that's all the way to the end. If I keep going a little bit farther under here, I get to the hill in the picture. So that's my goal, is just to keep working on this and fill into the middle. I was happy to go all the way down and go around. I finally made it to the bottom. So that was a good accomplishment. And I was excited to stitch that church because it's going to be white and it has kind of some peachy pink colors. And as I was stitching it, I was kind of doubting, is this a church? Or are you sure that's a church? But I am now, because as I looked at it, you can see the, oh, I hope that's too tiny to repeat. Let me find the cover page. I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to reveal something I shouldn't. The lady to the side, I started stitching her. And I don't know if y'all are this way, but I just find so much meaning in my stitching with my circumstances in my life. She's standing next to graves. That's how I know it's a churchyard. There's two graves to the left. I don't know if you can see that. And my friend, growing up, her father passed away the day before yesterday as I was stitching this, and her parents had been married 59 years. And I just thought, oh, that's funny. I'm stitching this right now by the graves and the widow that I'm stitching. And I was thinking of my friend Ella, who is just devastated, I'm sure, right now, and grieving, and all the times I was in their home, and just the memories I have with that family. The eldest daughter was my mentor for about a year, spent every week with me when I was in junior high, just poured into my life, and I was so grateful for them. Hang on just a second. Sorry, y'all. Again, it snuck up on me, the emotion. But just, you know, friends for over 40 years. That's a long time. And I was looking at this stitched rooster and thinking, well, why in the world is there a rooster on there? I wonder if that has some symbolism. And I'm not sure if Barbara Anna intended it, but I kind of think she may have. The rooster in Christian tradition symbolizes victory over death, the light overcoming the darkness. When the cock crows in the morning, you know that the night is over. And that was just such a comfort to me. Gosh, sorry. So sorry. This news is still fresh to me. But just the knowledge that, you know, death is not the end. And our world is so broken right now, but we have hope. We have hope for the future. So that was a lot of fun, stitching that and looking into that symbolism. And I encourage you, if you have a symbol in a sampler and you're not sure what it means, I just Googled it. What is the symbol of a rooster in a sampler? So that was fun, and I feel good about the progress I made in May. Even though I didn't quite get my goal, I did get a lot more done on it, and it inspired me to keep going. So that definitely will not be put away. The other project I worked on was Bent Creek Stars and Stripes. I just pulled this out last night after I finished my summer ABC FFO. And so I was thinking as I was going along, oh, this one is so easy. I'm just having such a good time with it. Famous last words. I didn't speak them aloud, but still. This stars that I started stitching, and isn't that cool the way they do that typography? It has a really good shadow. And I'm using that Redwood, the country Redwood again. My S was getting so low, and I thought, wait a minute, my border's down here. Well, my R was supposed to go to the upside of the A, not the lower side. So I was like 3 stitches too short, and then I based that on that. And so I got off track. But this is just a piece of even weave from Hobby Lobby. I'll show you the other 2/3 of it. It's a yard. And I'm really excited to get back with this because when I'm paying attention and correctly adjusting things, it really doesn't take too long. I think I did 3 letters in an hour. So the whole design is mostly letters and just some little stars and flags. And I think it's going to go really well in my living room. That's another whip that I should acknowledge a lot of y'all have seen on Instagram. I'll put my handle down below for Instagram. I have been working on painting. That's why I'm not had as much stitching in May as I wanted, but I'm thrilled to have this finished. I was really hesitant to commit to this color, even though I thought it would really complement my wood, and I don't know if you can see it, but my samplers back there, my birds of a feather. I just thought this seems like a color that Barbara Anna would use. In fact, it's in my Love Never Fails piece a lot, that kind of burnt like clay. It's called Cavern Clay by Sherwin-Williams. And so I've been painting my living room. This wall I painted as well is I think it's called Canvas Tan. And so I got rid of the gray. It just wasn't working with my furniture and with my flooring. And so I'm excited to get more patriotic decor up with my stitching. And also I've just added in some more primitive things. So I hope to do a home tour. Fingers crossed. I hate to announce plans because it seems things always go awry, but I have one more wall to paint on this edge. It's a half wall behind me here where my lantern is sitting. So hopefully I can get that finished on Saturday and then film a home tour next week, just of this room in particular with the patriotic things that I have out. So excited to do that, but that was another whip. So I'm going to count that as an almost FFO, and it's a big one for me because I've wanted to do it for years and just finally bit the bullet. The last piece I want to show you is an older whip. A lot of you have probably already seen most of the progress that I have on it, but I have a lot of new subscribers, so I thought I would pull it out because I was talking with some stitching friends about Hawkrun Hollow, Village of Hawkrun Hollow. And this one is, oh, it's got a needle coming right out. I stopped like mid-stitch to come and film. It's been a real booger for me because it's so big. And I just really love the look of it. I'm using 2 strands over 2 on 36. So it's very bulky. It almost feels like stitching a carpet. But it's very vibrant and it has a lot of graphic appeal, I feel like. It's really neat on that vintage country mocha. And this is the block that's kind of stalled on me. But I had determined to put a thread every day. This is my thread for today that I'm putting in the bottom of the grass. I finished off the house. You can see 1 stitch I missed. I ran out of thread. I was playing chicken. 1 stitch there by the door, but I finished the boarding house and feel renewed to keep going. Now what I might do, if you want to, you can put your 2 cents in. I may not go by it, but my thought on this one, as I've spent almost 18 months working on it and not gotten near where I thought I would. I see a lot of people starting hawk runs and saying, I'm going to do 1 a month. And I'm like, good luck. But people do it. Amy just finished hers from Amy Loves Toads. But I think I might make this a half marathon piece. I've been teasing my friends. I'm going to call this my 13.1. I am kind of ready for this to be moving forward, and my thought was I'm going to put a stitch a day in it and see how I feel when I get through block 6. The next one is a bunch of lettering and words, so I hope that one won't be as hard. Pretty sure my friend Becky said it wasn't too bad. Here it is. So the middle block there is a lot less dense, and then the last one is the stables, which I really like that, the blacksmith, but that's a lot of stitching. So hopefully by the end of the summer, I can reevaluate and decide if I'm going to cut this sucker off and call it a 13.1, which is a half marathon. My husband's run those, and be super proud of myself, and then come back when I'm ready and do the other half. And then the framing won't be as expensive. It won't be quite so bulky to work with. I've almost talked myself into it. But I think Becky Wilder, my friend, was a little bit horrified because I'm pretty sure she went, oh, no. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not making any promises on that, but give me your thoughts below if you want to chime in. So those were the whips that I'm going to share now. I have one more to talk about that kind of is implied in the title of this video. And then next I want to show you some stitchy kindness I received, a few patterns I picked up, and some fabric and a new shop and some new floss tubers that I found. So let me put this up and I'll be right back. Okay, I've been keeping all of my haul and stitchy kindness in a big bucket. So I'm just gonna go through it as I put my hands on it. It's not necessarily in any order, but I did have a sale at Not Forgotten Farm that I took advantage of for 20% off their patterns. I think I saw Shanda at Stitching in Idaho do this piece and I loved it. I've always loved that song, the Walking in a Winter Wonderland. We'll see a snowman and pretend that it's Parson Brown. So ironically, I picked two ministers for my Not Forgotten Farm. This one is Reverend Gordon Squashbottom, which is such a funny name. I'm not sure I'll call him the Reverend because my husband's a Reverend, so I don't want to, I don't know, poke fun at that. But definitely, I'm thinking about putting Gordon Squashbottom on there. It's spelled Gord, and I think it's so cute. I saw Tina. She's the enabler on this one from For Love of the Stitches. When I saw it framed, I thought it was adorable. And I think Kitten Stitcher was working on it too. So, and it sort of falls into some plans I'm going to share briefly about pumpkins for October. I don't know about y'all, but I'm already starting to think about October. I know, don't wish away the day, but there it is. I also picked up this CTR, or I bought this punch embroidery needle for 3-strand. I love my other punch, and now my mind is going blank on what it's called. It's the one most people use and it's great, but there's actually a step removed in threading this one. And my health insurance, I didn't actually have to pay for this because my health insurance gave me an Amazon credit for downloading an app, and I didn't even keep it because I don't need it. It helped me remember my medicine, which I already do. So when I downloaded the app, they gave me an Amazon credit and I went and got this. So I didn't even have to pay for it. But it was a recommendation because it has a longer handle than the little red CTR punch. And it, like I said, removes a step in the threading process. So I was happy to have that. And I have some fabrics that I've put together for planned project envelopes. I don't want to mess with zippers. I watched Helen D's tutorial and it's fantastic, but I thought, boy, that's just a lot of time. I'd rather be stitching. So I'm going to make some Vana envelopes, kind of like, well, exactly like this one if I can manage it. This is one Leslie Hurley gave me. And I like that it has Velcro. Sometimes I actually get zippers stuck on my threads. I don't know if y'all do that. And it's a little bit bigger. For my big project, I keep Consider the Lilies in this. I'll show you that in a minute. And then I also want one for my Hot Grown Hollow, and for my next summer capsule, which is going to be bees and sunflowers. I did find this little charm for like $1 at Joann's. I'm going to put that on a scissor fob. My daughter makes those with beads. And I might have some more of those to give away if I get to 2,000. And then this fabric was on clearance and I thought it's so cute. Annie from Joy Field Stitcher had hauled some fabric from this place, and I think it's called Brew Fabrics. I can't remember. It reminds me of my name, so I should know it. But this was on clearance for a couple dollars a half yard. And then I found this one at Joann's. My daughter Sophia was helping me. And I thought that was so pretty. It's got more of a primitive look to it. The sunflowers are hard to find that aren't like kind of garish to me, and this was perfect. So see the ring of bees and the sunflowers? That's my next focus in July. So hopefully by then I'll have a little bag made up. And then this one was just, I thought, so drop dead gorgeous. I had to get it. Look at these birds. Isn't that beautiful? I'm working on a bird wall. as you can see from behind me, I've got this kind of clay color and a lot of red birds. I have a red fractor bird to work on. I think Sally Spencer will go up there on the bird wall, so I need a bird bag. This one was a lot of fun. So I'll try to link that fabric store below. They had really good shipping, and I think they gave me 25% off for my first order. So this was only like $7 or $8 for those 2 half yards. The other thing I got, which was such a sweet surprise, and Daylene, I was sending you a late birthday gift, and she sent me a sweet prize. So not prize, but a sweet gift. Card there, and then just some little tags. Thank you so much. And then because I'm dyeing my own corduroy and talking about how expensive Lady Dot is, she sent me some beautiful velvet. That is so pretty, Daylene. Thank you. And another scrap for backing. This will be perfect for my Blackbird sewing club, and then a project bag. And I have something special that's going to live in there. I'll share that later. Probably not this video, but next. But isn't that great stitching? She did a fantastic job. So thank you, Daylene. That was such a, just a bright spot in my day. And then I see another bright spot. I'm actually wearing part of this. Becky Wilder and I stitched together a lot on Zoom. And then we did a sew along, or a stitch along for Birds of a Feather, and so she put these are thread drops, but I put it on a necklace so I can wear it, and it has a bird charm in front. I love it. And she also threw in this sheep with willing hands, the flax. I can't read it very well, but I don't have my glasses on, but it's a saying y'all are probably familiar with, and that one's really cool. So I'll put that on my patriotic sheep, and then another thread ring with our little lollipop flowers. So thank you, Becky. That was such a surprise. So sweet. And then the last thing I got was a beautiful card from Marlene. Thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me know you were thinking of me in your prayers. That was very kind of you. I got a couple other threads. This one was just a Manor Red, one of my favorite reds for my ornaments. I stitched through a whole skein. Does anybody else feel really proud of themselves when you stitch through an entire skein of floss, either DMC or something? You're like, good job, look what you did. So this was to replace that for my ornaments because they were all gone. And then this was because of, this pattern was because of, sorry y'all, my mind goes blank sometimes, even though I talk to these people all the time. Kim Lehman. She showed this on her video, and I don't think I've ever done this before. I literally just went and bought that on PDF, and then people were saying that it was sold out, which I didn't think could happen. So I don't know if it's back in there, but I will try it. That is so pretty for my master bedroom, I think. It is so my colors, and it has the cherry blossoms and the berry baskets and the birds. I just love it. And the saying, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. Isn't that wonderful? So I think this is a Russian designer, stitches through the years, but my PayPal, it had a Russian name. So I think that's a designer that is somewhat new. And I will try to link this pattern. It's so pretty. It's pretty big. It's 199 by 248. Not terrible, but not tiny. So I was trying to think of a good blue or gray fabric for this. If you have a recommendation on that, let me know in the comments. We were talking about, I think Dove, is that the name of the one from Weeks? That's kind of a gray, blue. I don't really want it to go purple like Shale can do. So let me know if you have a good antique blue. And I've got a curious little guy back there. Hang on just a second. Okay, he and I are here alone right now. The girls are out with some friends, so it's kind of quiet, but he had a little appearance. The other thing I wanted to show you was my another over dye experiment that I did with these beautiful flosses from Victorian Motto. I'm in the club now. My May threads kind of got lost, and so I hope they'll come today. I never did get them, but these were from April, and they were just really, really too bright for me. I love her colors generally, but those I just knew I wouldn't use them, so I kind of dunked them. You can see the remnants here in some taupe and some instant coffee and swirled them around, and then I baked them, and look how pretty that blue turned out. that's going to be perfect for my house, that blackbird house that's blue with the fruit. I'll insert a picture of that here, the chart I'm thinking of. I actually have it, but I was really happy with that. So if you get a club thread that you don't love, it's not any loss. If you're not going to use it, dip it in some dye. That was a very bright peach. It was called Splashy Peach. Now it's not Splashy Peach, which is what I like. So that might work on my Consider the Lilies or some of my fall stitching. So just a little tip there. You don't have to waste thread if you like it for the club, but not one color, then just try to change it up. And the other things I wanted to show you, I found a new shop that was recommended by Helen D. It's called The Daily Stitcher, and I believe her name is Penny. I just happened to be watching an old Helen D couple of videos when I was looking at her pattern for her or her tutorial for her project bags, and she happened to mention this seller. And so I had been frustrated with my holly berry stables. I started this I dyed this fabric myself on a 40 count of mallow that I had repurposed, and I don't know if I shrunk it in the heat or what happened, but I could not stitch on it. I couldn't see the holes, and I just knew that it would be frustrating. And this is a big piece. It has a large border, a huge house, and I thought, I don't want to be fighting this the entire time. So I just got online and scrapped that other fabric. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's a whole fat quarter, but it's only $10 for mallow, so I don't feel too bad. But I looked for some winter brew. That's the called for. And all I found was vintage beeswax. But I actually really, really like this color. Sometimes gold can be a little bit too yellowy for me. I know you agree, Kristen, if you're watching. So this was, I thought, a really good choice for the house. Do you see the white there, how that's going to look? And then the barn. So vintage beeswax is can't talk, is beautiful. I just kind of started up the border there to see how the green's going to look. She did a really nice break for you on the border so that you have a better time counting. And the house starts right here. So that's kind of what I was stitching up to, was starting that house in the corner, and that's one of my plans. Kind of doing an early interjection there, but I intend to start that house. And here's some of the colors for the border. It's just such a beautiful palette. A lot of weeks, mostly weeks. So excited to start the Holly Berry Stables. I bumped out my summer tribute, even though yours is coming out so beautifully, Becky. It made me want to stitch it. I really wanted a piece that I could put in this room that I could keep up all year, because I feel like, you know, the Christmas one is a little bit more seasonal, although I would leave it up all year anyway. And I love the summer one, but I thought this one would go out all year long. So that was my start on that, and my fabulous shop find. She shipped it the same day, like same day. So great service. So check her out. I'll link the Daily Stitcher below. I also would encourage you to check out a couple of new floss tubers I found that are super sweet. And again, from Helen D. We're kind of like this circle, you know, this tree of connections. But Helen D's friend Marissa has a great floss tube. She has about 3 or 4 videos. I think she used to have a floss tube and then she started it again. So she has shown some mania progress. She's doing a beautiful long dog sampler for her daughter as a birth sampler. And she's just really funny. I don't know, her sense of humor is really dry, and she just seems like someone, she reminds me of my college roommate, somebody that I would really like to hang out with. So M. Kissa, I will link below. She is a hoot. And then Christy from Crosshatch Quilts was speaking of her friend. And now her name is giving me a little bit of a problem. She's from the UK, Adele. Adele is her name. Smurfette Stitches. She's a young mom, and so I can kind of relate to her on that as far as trying to get stitching done when your kids are popping in. But she is super talented. She's done some beautiful samplers. She has a lot of sampler whips that you would probably enjoy if you like what I stitch. So I will link her, and let me know if you've found any new floss tubers that you like. I always like to check out new channels. So let me put this away and I will talk about plans, and then I have one final word I want to share. Okay, some of my plans are going to have to wait for my next video. I'm running out of time before I go pick up my son's friend, and so I'm going to talk about this pumpkin plan I have for October. I'm going to talk about that next time. I might link a Pinterest board if anybody wants a preview of some of those projects, but I'm kind of scheming for some fall stitching. So, but not to get too far ahead, on Sundays I want to start Consider the Lilies as a rotation. I was holding off in May as I worked on All Creatures and on the patriotic pieces, but this one has been calling my name. And Marissa is really doing well on this one, so you've got to go check hers out. She was another inspiration. I have been collecting silks, and there's a new heartstring stitchers board on Facebook. I haven't joined yet. I'm going there to do that today, but I was hopeful to get some help on my conversion to silk as I just inch by inch purchased these. I got Coranda. Isn't that a pretty dark green? For the middle part, it's called Ivy. It almost has a little bit of a bluey green quality. You can see on Adam and Eve's little loincloth or whatever it is. You can kind of see the quality of the color there, and I thought that would be really pretty. It goes with my border green, which is seagrass. I always like to see dinky dyes because I don't have an L&S that I can get to right now. I know Fancy Stitches in Cleburne has a ton of these, but I'm not able. So those are my two greens, Coranda and Seagrass. Aren't those pretty? And then I'm loving this silk here for my border. So I'm going to post in that board and ask for some feedback on other help with the conversion that I'm doing to silk. And not all of it's going to be in silk, but especially the parts that have a lot of stitching, I want to enjoy as much as possible because that's going to be a long haul. So Consider the Lilies. I'm going to work on it on Sundays. There's that flower with that silk that I'm converting from. And I can't remember the name of that one. Let me see if I wrote it down. Of course I didn't. At least not there. I have it written down elsewhere, but I think it's called, I'll link it below. Hang on just a second. I also intend to start this Halloween Rules topper. I'm not going to start the entire piece, but I told you last time that I was going to show you this fabric I dyed. I thought it turned out really cool. This is some even weave. It's the other part of that Stars and Stripes Forever piece, and it has a few blotches on it, but yeah, on this side a few little oops, but I think I can cover that up because the rules are kind of narrow, and I just really like the colors. So here's I did get some floss for that. Here's a black and white on it. See how that's going to pop for the ghosts and the tombstone. So I'm going to do the topper on this, and then in my fall stitching plans that are coming up in October, I'm going to use the blocks to get started. So that's Halloween Rules, the fabric I intended to show you last time. I actually used a lot of different dyes and layers, and I thought it turned out really cool. So I wanted to show you that. And then I also have to get this girl out again because she is kind of floundering. I had intended to finish her in 2020 because she's 250 years old this year. And I want to get back to this border. So if anybody is stitching a honeysuckle border, please message me. I need some encouragement. We can share a hashtag on Instagram. But I need to work my border all the way up. I've been doing the eyelets here on this board. Okay, sorry. My eldest daughter came in, and my husband's calling. Everything's getting interrupted. I'm almost done. This, though, I want to continue up to the top. It's halfway there. So I'm going to try to get this honeysuckle border done and the rest of the eyelets just as a maybe 3 threads a month, 4 threads a month, just to keep it moving forward. It's so beautiful. I really love that design. So that's my goal. I'm also looking forward toward Sampler September, which I'm going to be really focusing on my sampler steering. And the last thing I wanted to show you that I'm going to start is this Patriotic Poppies. I'm going to be swapping a pattern with a friend to do this. So I'm going to start this. Oh, it's upside down. And I'm going to make the sheep gray. I'll probably start that today or tomorrow. So this isn't a huge project. I know Kim Lehman stitched it in a week. Hello, she's got flame fingers though. And this is a dapple. So I kind of thought the gray would look pretty with the dapple. So that is my plan. Consider the Lilies on Sunday. Some Sarah Woodham and Hawthorne Hollow old whips that I need to get progress on. And then the last patriotic piece that I wanted to try was Patriotic Poppies. And if I have time to work on stables on that house, I will do that as well. And I'm considering doing a challenge with one of my Facebook groups. I haven't done those before. Trying to work through an acrostic for picnic and see if that makes some good motivation for me to finish. But that starts June 15th. So I'll probably share that next video. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was a Long Dog Leap Day Sal. I had missed it in April, just totally passed me by, realizing that, oh, it's time for the 29th. So hang on just a second. Okay, sorry. I'm having a hard time finishing up this video as things kind of get busy in the house. But I wanted to share the lesson from Long Dog and leave you with some final thoughts just about the state our world is in. As I was doing my Long Dog Leap Day Sal, it's kind of a mouthful, I had to rip out the entire thing. Everything I had done except for this border right here was over a stitch. And initially, oh, here it goes this way. Initially, I thought, well, I can fudge it. I can make sure that it's on the right border, and this might be right up to the border, but it'll be okay. But as I looked at it, I even had a stitch half up. So it was really, really messed up. And I thought, this design is so symmetrical. It's going to repeat 3 times or 2 more times. And it has such a balance to it. I didn't want to fight it. So I had to rip it all out. It took me most of the day on the 29th. And I was really frustrated with it. But when I put it back in, it was so gratifying. It's almost like a math problem. You know, it just, you know, it's working. It fits perfectly. Everything's going where it should. And I was laughing because I almost wanted to look back to the previous video of myself and say, stop, you're doing it wrong. Can't you see that that's wrong? And that's happened to me a lot of time with stitching. I'll look back and go, how did I not see that? How could I not tell that this was off? Because it's obvious once you see it. And I thought, you know, I am so like that in my own life. I had a question in a journal about, do you trust your instincts? And I have to say, no, I don't really trust my instincts. If I am going off of my emotions or off of how I'm feeling that day, or if I've got a perspective that's wrong, then it's gonna end badly. It's gonna end up being a situation where you have to rip it out, and it's a little painful. Sometimes we make choices and we think we're basing it on the right thing, and we're going along and we think, how did I get here? How did I end up in this place? Like, I thought I was doing the right thing. And you know, it says in the Bible that our heart is deceitful and our emotions will lead us astray as we go through these difficult times, through all the hurt and heartache around us. I just want to remind you what was kind of reminded to me through this is I can't trust my instincts, but I can trust God's word, and I can trust his light to show me what to do. I can't go off of my feelings and the way that things are happening around me and just react. I have to spend the time in his word and in prayer for him to be able to work through his spirit. And I know not everyone that watches my channel is a believer, but I wanted to encourage you in that, you know, the world is shifting sand. Things change from day to day. You never know almost from day to day what it's going to be like. But if you're grounded in God's word and you're using his light as the light to your path, then you're not going to end up in a place that you didn't expect. You're going to have the security of, even though bad things will happen, you're going to have the security that he is good and that he cares for you. So I also want to include, my husband, Dr. Brewer, has a lot better way with words in explaining some of these issues, and he has some tips that I want to leave below. I saw Marlene had shared it on Facebook. Thank you for that. But he has a lot of wisdom from a lot of study. So I will include that in the description box. Hopefully it will fit, and know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. I'm thinking of you in particular, Amy, and that there is hope. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your support and your friendship and your kind gifts, just showering me with friendship and love, and I really appreciate that. So have a great June, and I hope to check in a couple months. Thanks.